All righty, traders, let's get into tonight's wrap up on the markets, and we'll take a look at our trading account. Closed several trades today. It is Monday, 9/25/2023. Let's get into the markets and see what happened today. And I know there's a lot of lines on this chart, so I apologize. It's easier for me on a big screen than it is for you probably watching this tonight. But SPY had a decent little update today. Up a buck 81, 0.42%. Nothing major and nothing that would change any narrative of anything going on out there. The only thing interesting that I really found on today's session, if you zoom in, is if you take a look at this fib movement from the lows here on March 13 to the recent highs on SPY, not only did we close and bounced, not didn't bounce, but we really closed just off of it on Friday, that we moved down and bounced off of this 38.2 fib today. So, yeah, it just happens to be that fib level. We bounced off of it. Does that mean anything? No. Right now, you've got on the weekly here, you've got two lower lows and you've got a lower high. So any bounce in here that does not get above this previous 453 number will make it another lower high in the market. So we'll kind of bring this downtrend over. And if we switch over to the daily, we still have this head and shoulders looking pattern, which we did break on Friday. We did go even lower today before bouncing off of it late morning this morning. So question is, you bounced off this fib level, but we broke this support, previous resistance support level in here, which is also the neckline exactly. Any bounce here that does not take out these highs or these more recent highs is just another lower low, and we can continue to move down. We'll just see what happens. But if you look at the MACD heading lower, RSI heading lower, MACD on the daily heading lower, RSI oversold and coming up just a bit. So is it just an oversold bounce? Do we come back up and fill this little gap up here all the way to 438? I think that's a real possibility, is that maybe you get a couple day bounce, fill this gap, and then maybe we roll down. We'll see what happens, but the 21 just broke the 50 on the daily. So again, nothing positive on SPY, except this is right now just a bounce in a downtrend. So it's nothing more than that, not a trend reversal, nothing more than just a bounce in a downtrend where our lower highs and lower lows are moving. If we look over at the Qs, pretty much the exact same looking setup, except, you know what, I'm going to change this one as well and pull up the 38.2 fib, because we don't usually play with that. Now here, that fib level is a bit lower on the Qs. So we came down right to about the 3 ATR today, bounced off of it. This neckline here held up pretty well on the session. So, you know, technology looks pretty much the exact same, except we are quite a ways away from the 38.2 fib. So we'll see what happens in the market. It changes no narratives about anything. This is still a lower high and and potentially some lower lows. Right now, we don't have a lower low than this. So we'll see what happens. But if we don't break this 354, we are not setting a new lower low. Might be a little different scenario on the Qs. And then on IWM, let's zoom in on this thing a little bit here. We remain inside of this trading range that we've been on. The weeklies, everything's heading down. MACD, RSI, solid downtrend, lower lows, lower high off of this a bounce off of this resistance level here. If we zoom in a bit now and take a look, and I'm going to extend this piece out a bit here, but if we take a look at this, we've got a little bit of a gap in here. So they all have gaps to get filled. So the question is, will we fill these gaps? How long will it take to fill these gaps? But pretty oversold territory on RSI and the 3 ATR. So a bounce, definitely, but we're right in the middle of this overall range, and I don't think that this is quite as quite as bad as people make it out to be. I think you just stay maybe in this range. Maybe we head a little bit lower. Bollinger Bands tightening up. See what happens on IWM. Overall, the VIX dropped fractionally on the session today. So it did rise all the way up into the 18.3 mark and then finished on its lows of the session around 16.9. So VIX dropping back under 17. The US dollar continued its move higher on the session, and it closed nearer its highs than anything else. It rose pretty high, it pulled back early, moved to the highs, and then finished close to its highs of the session. But, we're looking at an RSI that is getting pretty oversold, not only on the daily, but on the weekly. And that MACD is getting a little bit long in the tooth. So we'll keep an eye on the dollar. I think I'm of the opinion with all of these weeks up. I mean, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, now 10 straight weeks. So 9 weeks already in the books with a 10th straight up week in here without this thing taking any kind of a break at all. Why? Well, if we take a look at, I'm going to skip all the way to TNX. If we take a look at rates keep pushing higher. They gapped up last Thursday, sold off a bit on Friday, and then gapped back up again today. So the 10-year rate hitting a new high up here, 45.42, so 4.54%, a new high in this area, or at least a new recent high in here, breaking above the 3 ATR. Rates on a tear higher, not relenting at all, even though they are overbought. Rates continue to move higher, which is also moving the dollar higher. We need to see rates take a little bit of a chill. And then I'll do my daily. If you bought TLT and TMF, you're just not watching what the hell's going on. You're just probably watching some guy on YouTube saying he's all in on TMF and TLT while he screwed you out of at least 5 to 6 to 10% of your money so far, because you've made a foolish bet thinking, wow, the markets are going higher, the Fed's going to start cutting. The Fed was never going to start cutting. They still had another interest rate hike on the books for November, which might be moved to December. We'll see what happens. They're going to stay higher for longer. TLT still heading lower. I really think that this thing may not be done, even though the weekly is oversold and the daily is oversold. I mean, we can get even lower on this thing than we are now in the oversold region before we start to make any kind of a bounce, and then we'll see what happens. So I think mid to lower 80s, potentially 70s are in store for TLT. Stay out of it. Just wait. You have this downtrend, and this downtrend's been going on a long time, and we can keep extending this downtrend out a bit further. We are nowhere near this downtrend at 97 until we break and repair some technical damage. Until you break this downtrend and you're still below the 21, which is still below the 50, you've got to go through the 21, you've got to go through the 50, you've got to get to the downtrend. Oversold or not, there's a lot of damage here that's been done and continues to be done as rates are moving higher with no Fed cut. To me, it's just foolish. Well, I'm going to invest for the long term, and great, I'm going to average down. Okay, if you remember my rules, never average down. All you're doing is adding to a losing position. Average up. Okay, wait till this thing has shown you that it stops going down. You've heard the old adage, catch a falling knife. Well, these gurus out there telling you to go all in on TMF and TLT, they're throwing a lot of knives, and you're trying to catch them, probably with your teeth here, because you're going to catch it with your portfolio for sure, as you've been screwed over trying to buy TLT and trying to call a bottom. Nothing more foolish than trying to call and pick a bottom, especially fighting the Fed. Anyway, enough on that. I'll move on. All right. So 6A down on the day. So the Aussie dollar down on the day. British pound down on the day. Canadian dollar up a little bit on the session. And then the 6E, the euro down again, some more, pretty substantial down move, breaking a little bit more definitively below this previous support level here. So now we've got to look to see if there's any other real support levels. It's not a lot, maybe 105, this previous low in here, but you don't have really any major pivot levels. If you want to call this one here 1039, something like that, you still could have, more downside to go. You're not oversold on the weekly, and you're not oversold on the daily either. So there could be more pain coming for the euro, which is not great for us since we have a strangle on there, but we're hanging in there. All right, oil on the session, a little bit of a pullback on the day. Tried moving higher, fell down, couldn't really get back to anything on the session. So oil just in this like sideways, potentially, bull flag, pennant, whatever you want to call it, depending on how it forms over the next couple sessions. Nice consolidation. Not only is it time, but some pullback. Really like that on oil before it makes another potential move higher. But the weekly's rolling over, overbought, moving down. MACD is rolling over. MACD's been rolling over on the daily from way overbought on the RSI and moving down. So this has been coming. It's a nice pullback. We'll take it. It's making our strangles healthier. It's great for our 112 trades. Gold continues to just migrate sideways in this ever-tightening triangle here. It's got to make a pop one way or the other. We'll see where it goes. Right now, it's pretty flat on the daily and the weeklies. No major RSI and MACD movement. If anything, slightly negative, but not hugely bearish on gold. So we'll see what happens. And then we've been watching, because I really want to get into trading copper futures, strangles. Maybe that's coming to Tasty very soon. The charts are in, and the symbols are in. So we can actually start seeing the options to trade in there. We just don't have the ability to trade those options yet. So where it is, it might be in the next day or two. So we're excited to potentially want to see that coming from Tasty. But let's see what happens. Can we actually start to get some trades on in this thing? So we'll keep an eye on things. We'll see where they go, and we'll take it from there. So maybe tomorrow, maybe tonight on copper, we'll see what happens. We're excited to get that going. Let's take a look at our sectors for the day. Number one sector, oil, moved up. So the oil stocks moved up. Your Exxons, Chevrons, those all had a great day. Second strongest sector on the day, regional banks, bounced a tad here. So that was interesting to see. Energy, as you would think, with oil being so strong. Energy, our third strongest sector of the day. Then the XLB. Then XLY right after that. XLV, so healthcare coming in. XLI, XRT, so forth. Then the last positive sector today was financials. Okay, then we get into the negatives. Utilities, real estate, pharma, then the XLP, which is your consumer discretionary or consumer staples. Defensive sector not having a good day, but now it's over. Now it's overdone here. And then your biotechs leading the day with just another terrible looking day. Very oversold on the daily in biotech. Biotech just getting hammered. Not doing well at all. The weekly looks terrible. The daily looks terrible. If you're in biotech, you are not having a whole lot of fun in those particular stocks. Let's take a quick look at a few stocks. We won't do much of anything in here today. Amazon, good day, up 1.67 as it simply just bounced a fraction, but everything looks still fairly weak. Apple bounced up 0.74%. You got RSI and MACD moving higher on the daily. So this thing's really starting to put in a pretty decent little base here outside of that one day where we dipped below, looked below, but went back up. This thing's putting a pretty nice base. here. So we keep tapping on it though, which is not a great sign. So we'll see if we can hold above it. But the daily certainly looks decent. And maybe you're getting a little curl here on the weekly. So not terrible on Apple, which could be good for the overall market. Microsoft heading lower, doesn't look anywhere near as good as Apple. But Apple, man, you keep going back to that. Is that support here has really held well. So you're looking pretty decent here. Now, it is a descending triangle. All it takes is a break of this, and we could have a pretty good flush down on Apple, maybe to the 200 MA around 165. We can just keep an eye on it. I'm not going to play it one way or the other. I'm certainly not playing it for a bounce as you keep tapping on this support. I'm waiting for that support to break. If this breaks, I will play short, maybe to the one, with maybe a butterfly trade or a directional trade. We'll see what happens. Meta up fractionally today. This thing has just been moving sideways, but it doesn't look terrible. Not a huge down move on both the weekly and the daily like you're seeing in Microsoft. And then Google, just a little bit of a bounce, still a gap down. Maybe it fills the gap, but this thing still looks a little bit weak here. And NVIDIA, a bounce with the other stuff today. Now, MACD starting to curl higher, so maybe running out of steam to the downside. It was oversold, now coming off of oversold. The weekly is heading down from overbought territory. MACD, RSI both heading down on the weekly. Do we fill this gap? This is the big question coming up is, are we going to get a gap fill down to 316, which is now the 200 MA? I think anything below here is potentially problematic. Let's see. But any bounces here, I think, are opportunities to potentially get some short going on most of these stocks. Tesla has lower to go. RSI MACD on daily still moving down, and the weekly. So this one doesn't have a bottom in yet, or any way anything that makes me think it's going to turn. Netflix, a little overdone and getting a little bit of a turn up here on the MACD, and potentially coming off of oversold levels on RSI. So is this a place to get in? I don't know, but it's this uptrend line. It's also the 200 MA in here. So there's a lot of potential reasons to play I would only do defined risk, but maybe play a call spread here. Weekly still looks pretty ugly, but Bollinger Bands, everything is just converging right around this 370 level. 370, 380. There's a ton of stuff in here. That's the 50 on the weekly. So that's the 50 MA on the weekly. It's the uptrend line. It's this previous pivot, which could now be support, which we did hold for 2 sessions now. Very interesting on Netflix here. I don't think I'm going to play it yet, but if we get any kind of further improvement or sideways movement on this thing here, I think it might be worth a potential put spread, bull put spread here. All right, that's pretty much it. I don't want to cover a whole lot of anything on the day. I'll give you a couple interesting stocks. Number one is Square. Take a look at Square, and you are very oversold here and trying to come reverse higher. Had an update today. MACD might be starting to reverse. You're oversold on the weekly as well. Let's give this thing a session or two, but you are well below this 3 ATR at 47. So another day or two down here and any kind of movement up. Square might be something interesting. PayPal is close, but not exactly the same, but similar to what we saw there. So there's at least something to take a look at. American Airlines also way oversold, been oversold. Now here's a good example of something getting oversold and staying oversold for nearly a month. So this has been oversold for a month on RSI and this continues to fall. Now getting a little bit of repair on the MACD. You are now oversold here. So I think American Airlines, maybe there's some support in here as well. I think there's some definite support around 12. I think you could also potentially look for a bull put spread on American Airlines in here as well. And I think McDonald's is another one getting pretty oversold. not yet ready for prime time for a bounce. And then Home Depot, this one is definitely oversold. It's pretty far below the 3 ATR. It's very oversold on the daily, starting to curl up on the MACD. The weekly doesn't really give you any sense that it could stop falling anytime soon. And I certainly think any bounce could just be a counter trend rally, and then we fall further. However, a short-term put spread in here, bull put spread in here, might be something of interest to traders. We'll see what happens. All right, let's jump into the main account and take a look at what we did today. Ended the day with 410 on Delta. So our Deltas ended the day a little bit lower, 0.14. So really great Delta. I would like to see it possibly a little bit lower if we're heading lower, but it's fine for now. 1177 in Theta. So still really strong Theta, still very close to that 0.4. Loving where we are on Theta. Our net lick dropped just a fraction today, about 1,000 points. So net lick dropped on the session. BP dropped significantly on the session. We're at 72%. Again, 10% of that is in BIL. So we're really sitting about 62%. It's higher than I want it to be. But overall, we'll take it. We had some drops, but that's because we closed out several trades today and we put some new stuff on. We closed out $2,760 on the session, taking our monthly realized now up to $8,562, 2.9%. So we're really at our 3% for the month. We just need a little bit more realized gains to put in our 3% on the month. But having a great month, we're right where we should be, almost 3% in realized gains. And then our net lick is up 5,000, 1.8% on the month. So we've generated good cash. We're down primarily, the net lick is down all because of the euro, because we have 2 strangles in euro, and both of those are a little bit negative. One's down about 124%, so it's not near our 200% stop. It's down 1x, so it's fine for now. Nothing to be done. And the other one's down fractionally, although we got some crazy after-hours numbers, so I can't really tell. Tasty trade up to its usual antics of having absolutely terrible values after hours. You can't tell what the heck's going on Tasty after hours. I can't even see my BP usage. I couldn't place a trade. It can't do anything on it. But yes, I'm sticking with it for now because I do like the interface. But man, if they have so many problems, you got to imagine what are they doing that you don't know about. All right. So there's where we were. Let's take a look at the trades that we won today. So first thing we did this morning was we put a call spread on. So we opened a call spread today. This call spread was put on around 9:53 this morning. Reason being is, and I could probably try to toggle back and forth a little bit, give you a sense of why I did what I did. Let's see if we can pull it up on SPX and see if we get some sense of where we were this morning. So 9:53 on SPX. We were in a down mode on the day, and let's pop back over real quick. All right, so we were in a down mode today. We gapped lower. We bounced a tad off of the 3 ATR. We bounced a tad, meandered around up here, but we were still in a down mode. 50 moving down, the 21 moving average moving down, bearish PSAR. It was a down session at the open. So on this bounce right here at 9:53, so right at the high of this session here is when we sold. So if we take a look over here, 9:53, I might have to back out just a fraction, and we can see where we were at 9:53. We almost top ticked this, so the Mr. Top Tick High, we almost top ticked this high on the session. You could see stochastic momentum was overbought, and we were in a downtrend, so we sold a call spread here on the session. We did close that out for a 50% winner. Then a little bit later in the session here, we opened a put spread around 12.13. So as soon as the market had started to move its way higher on the day, right around here, as soon as we broke above the 21, okay, we had a PSAR bullish signal right here at exactly 12.15. So at exactly right around 12.13 is when we placed this trade on the day. So if we move over here, 12.13 puts us right in here on this, right before the big move. So right here at 12.12, this is where we started to move. We got the bullish PSAR signal here as well. So we also put on a put spread as the markets were recovering. The 21 was now above the 50 on the 3-minute chart. And then we just kind of stayed in this range for quite a while. We ended up taking that trade off around 2 o'clock this afternoon. So right around here on this next move higher here, we took off the put spread as well. So we had a call spread and a put spread winner on the session, jumping back in. So both of those winners, small contracts, 9 each, you know, $360, we'll take it just because we saw the moves and we're in the market today. Now we did also close the naked puts on one of our long-term 112s. So we closed out the 3,500 puts here on this trade. So we booked now a 87% winner overall. We took those off for roughly a 90%, not my normal 95. I closed it for 90. So I thought it would be a good opportunity on this move today to lighten up on some delta and free up some buying power to give me some maneuverability. So we took it off at 90% instead of 95, totally fine. So that's booked already, took in $1,950 on that. And the put debit spreads are still working here. So if we hit any kind of downward move in the next month towards this, these put debit spreads may start to pay off a bit. And then the last thing was we closed an RTY strangle today. Reason I closed this strangle early, and I didn't get really good pricing on closing it. It was up more, over 20, almost 25%. By the time I got out and had to fuss with this trade, I only netted 18%, but 27 days, it took 18% premium capture. It was still a 4% return on capital in 27 days. So 4% in a month, totally within my 3% a month gain, not to mention the 17% in 96 days. Okay, so in 3 months, I took in 17%, so almost 6% there a month, 4% here a month, 1% on these in 1 day. So I'm totally within my profit parameters, but this RTY was chewing up quite a bit of buying power. I put it on for 10. It was actually, it expanded beyond that 10, which normally we don't see. And because of the markets dropping, I had a lot of positive delta here. I think 70 something positive delta. So by taking this off, I took off a $450 winner, 4% return on capital in just 27 days, which is perfect. I freed up all kinds of buying power. I reduced my delta by 70 points, and I made a profit. So all of that stuff was great. So a great day today overall. $2,760 to the good, puts us in a great shape for the month, puts us pretty close to exactly where our goal is with 5 trading days remaining, or not maybe 5 trading days, but the rest of this week remaining for trading days, for 4 more days to just eke out a little bit more, $500 somewhere, we'll get it done. All right, that's the trades for today. I gave you a couple of things to take a look at with Home Depot, with Square. You can take a look at some of those trades there. I will be putting maybe some of those on in the Discord. So if you want to find out which trades we're taking and what we're doing and keep up with what we're doing, come and join us in the Discord over at Mr. Top Tick. You can find that in the description, a link to it. Come and see what we're doing. If you like this video, please click that like button. If you're not a subscriber yet, subscribe, see what we're putting out. Had some good things over the weekend that we put out on Tesla and a few other items. We got some new trainings coming out for you guys. Make sure you get those notifications, and we will see you in the markets. Everybody take care. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks. Bye-bye.